Now's the point where they start beating him. And this actually does mix with Luke, it just comes earlier. Because I believe Luke moved that one statement to the time when he recorded all of the happenings and skipped the midnight council. So Matthew reads, "Then did they spit on his face." Mark, "And some began to spit on him." Luke, "And the men that held Jesus mocked him and smote him." Struck him in the face, prophesy, who's it smote you? Blasphemy. Okay, no mention of spitting on his face. So it does say they struck him on the face. They spit on him and to cover his face, to buffet him, and said in prophesy. They strike him with their palms of their hands. Smote him with the palms of their hands. Okay, so the only mention of his face in Luke is when he's being struck. However, in Matthew and Mark, it's only when he's being spit on. So I think I'll still have them separate. It'll add some clarity if I keep struck him in the face, because Matthew and Mark have that they covered his face and to buffet him and strike him with the palms of their hands. And Matthew smote him with the palms of their hands, but saying they smote or they struck him with the palms of their hands in the face is very visual, and I like being able to see that. It's more effective of getting across the torture he went through than just saying they struck with their hands. Okay, I understand that, but where? Was it in the back? Was it on the leg? No, if you're struck in the face, that is not only painful, it's insulting. So I want to keep all that. I will mention the face twice. But first, then they did spit in his face. And some began to spit on him. Okay, I'll have some instead of they, because this they would seem like it's referring to those people who just judged him. Which it could be. They could have just found him guilty and they're like, oh, well, we've done our part. Now I can have my fun and beat on this guy that I just judged. But I will still put some. That way it leaves the opening for it could have been them who judged him or maybe the officers who grabbed him. And some. Then did they. I could have both and then. So just Matthew and Mark and then. Just Mark, some began to spit on him. Spit in his face. So I have to have two. Spit is both. In his face is way worse than just on him, so I'm going to put that. And buffeted him. Mark saves buffeted him for after they cover his face. So I'll go with that first. It makes sense that they would cover his face first, then hit him in order to mock him, saying, "Who hit you?" Luke, no mention of spitting. Just, and the men that held Jesus mocked him and smote him. So when does mocking come in? They spit on his face, buffeted, smote. That's all that's in Matthew. No mocking. Mark, they spit on him, covered his face, buffeted him, and struck him. But mocking is implicit because they're saying to him, prophesy, and the servants did strike him with the palms of their hands. It says that in Matthew as well, prophesy to us, you Christ, who is he that smote you? That's the mocking. Luke, They mocked him, smote him, and when they had blindfolded him, they struck him in the face and asked him, saying, Prophesy. So mock is not necessarily only what they said, covering his face and saying, Prophesy, who is it that smote you? So I need to have those separate. I'm going to save they're covering his face for when it's mentioned in Luke. So they held Jesus, mocked him, and smote him. That smiting is probably the buffeting that's mentioned in Matthew and Mark. So I'll just choose buffet instead of smote, because it says they struck him after he was blindfolded. First comes mocking and smiting, then blindfolding. So I have to start with the men that held Jesus, mocked him, and smote him. Which gets rid of the possibility that it's the council, because it clearly says in Luke it's the men that held him that are doing these beatings. But I could leave, then some began to spit on him, and then the mention of the men that held Jesus, mocked him. And to buffet him. Matthew. And buffeted him. I think I'm going to go with buffeted. Either one of those could be translated as beat, like a beating. And beat him. Or and to beat him. And is both. I could put buffet as part of buffeted, so yeah, I'll keep both. Him is both. And then some began to spit in his face, and the men that held Jesus mocked him and buffeted him. Smote him. Or I could have both. Mocked and buffeted and smote. Yeah, I could do that. Because buffeting and smiting is the same, pretty much. So it'll be like explaining what's going on further with new words. And from Luke, after buffeted, smote him. So that fits with the verse in Luke because it says, and smote him before the blindfolding. And before they say, prophesy, who is it that smote you? But the him is in italics, so it's still just Matthew and Mark. Mocked him and buffeted and smote him. And others smote him with the palms of their hands, comma, and to say to him, prophesy. Saying, prophesy. Okay, so I have to have saying. But actually, before saying, I need to put that they blindfolded him. I am so happy that I have that option, blindfolded, instead of just what it says in Mark. Cover his face. Blindfolded is much more specific. I like that. When they had blindfolded him. And when they had blindfolded him, they struck him on the face and asked him, then saying, but instead of saying, and to say to him, saying. I'll have say be in there from Mark. So the say part is all three, and the ing part is Matthew and Luke. I'm not going to have and to say to him. I'll have and here from Mark, because I can't use that and elsewhere. Him will also be from Mark. So is there anything else I can combine? Blindfolded him, they struck him in the face. Wait a minute. I need to save struck him in the face. Mark has prophesy, and then they strike him in the face with the palms of their hands. I'll save struck him in the face. And when they had blindfolded him, they asked him, saying, prophesy, who is it that smote you? Matthew has prophesied to us. Mark is just prophesy. Prophesy is all three from Matthew to us. You Christ. Matthew has who is he that smote you, but Luke has who is it that smote you. I know that we commonly ask who is it, like if someone's at the door, but to be perfectly honest, that means we're calling them an it. Since I have the option here to choose who is he that smote you or who is it that smote you, I'm going to leave the he. I think that is a bit more proper. I'm going to put the way Mark has it. Prophesy now, and the servants did strike him with the palms of their hands. And others smote. But these others are already explained. The men that held Jesus. So I'm not going to have others. So just and Mark. And the servants. Okay, that's even better. They struck him. And is Mark and Matthew. The servants is only Mark. Striking and smiting are used the same way here in these contexts. So I think I am going to combine smote up here where I had it used earlier, and I'll just stick with struck from Luke. Struck him in the face. Did strike him with the palms of their hands. Okay, strike or struck? Did strike is past. Struck is also past. I guess they're almost the same. Did strike is kind of more present, maybe. But the him is definitely here in Mark. Now I'll add with the palms of their hands from Mark, also Matthew.